And now, a math lesson. Let's say the Zaxby's chicken finger plate comes with 4, 5, or 6 hand-breaded fingers and 1 side of Zax sauce. Plus, you can try them with Zax sauce, honey mustard, hot honey mustard, tongue torch, teriyaki, wimpy, nuclear, barbecue ranch, sweet and spicy, insane. How many possible combinations does that make? Carry the 2 with the remainder... a lot. Zaxby's chicken finger plate. The sauceabilities are endless.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days of access. Everybody on YouTube, welcome. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Everybody on your Apple device, 5-star review, please. 5 stars, and then some sort of positive note about Corey's ability to just make your day better. Hopefully he makes your day better every single day you listen to the podcast. It's signing day, but we're going to talk hoops and some other stuff that's not related to recruiting, but a little bit of recruiting. By we, myself, Corey Clark. Corey joining us via mobile phone device app in his vehicle because it's late on Tuesday night as we record this, and I got to be up to do recruiting stuff. So, Corey, thanks for sacrificing so that we can enjoy this show. How are you?
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. These late-night basketball games, I don't know. And then the Saturday night games at 9. Oh. So they're not doing us a lot of favors with these late-night games. But, hey, a win's a win. And also got to talk to Norvell. A lot of big happenings on Tuesday night. Yeah, or Tuesday in general.
Yeah. I can't wait for later today, though, with signing day. Lots of cool stuff. A nice preview done by Michael Langston over on Warchant.com. Also on the YouTube channel if you want to sit through about 75 minutes of us talking about stuff that might be dated, but probably isn't. Anyhow, over at the TLCCC, 74-61 win for Florida State. ACC opening victory for the Noles over Georgia Tech. I guess everything is going to probably start with Scottie Barnes every time we do a show. Not that I'm complaining, Corey. It is super awesome to not only have one of these super-duper freshmen, but to see them do super-duper things night in and night out. Now it's only been, 3-4 games, but still. Have we seen this sort of contribution from the likes of Jonathan Isaac or Malik Beasley or Dwayne Bacon? I know it's early, but it just doesn't – I don't recall.
Yeah, not quite like this. This one feels a little different. I think maybe because he has the ball in his hand more than even any of those guys did, especially Isaac. Isaac was a great player, but, he might have the ball in his hand. He might get the ball 12 times in a game. Barnes has it the whole game. And yeah, man, it's just it's Florida. Yeah, I don't remember Florida State having a guy quite like this. And what's unique about it and kind of cool, and when you look ahead to like March and what that might look like, is usually these types of guys are playing with 3 or 4 other freshmen. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 other great freshmen, and they're learning as they go. And this team, there aren't many teams that have a built-in core like an MJ Walker, Polite, Raekwon Gray, Malik Osborne, and then in that they welcome one of the best players in the country who's a teenager. Like usually the teenagers seem to play with each other. I don't like the way that phrase that, but you know what I mean? They usually go. It's usually Kentucky or Duke. It's a bunch of one and done. This is one and done playing with a bunch of veterans who have been on campus for 3 or 4 years, and it's a pretty cool mix. But yeah, man, when he wants to take over a game, he's like a taller Trent Forrest, a little bit more skilled Trent Forrest. He just gets where he wants. That dunk he had to stop the 15-0 run that Georgia Tech was on at the shot clock buzzer. I mean, that's just I don't know that Florida State's ever had a guy like this. They could do that. And when you think about his games, so he didn't do great in the first game, but he had that behind the back dunk where it's like, okay, that's not normal. Right. And then the next game was the Indiana game where he didn't shoot well, but then he hit the 3 and then had the game winner with a second left. The Florida game, he had 17 and 2 incredible dunks. And in this game, all he does is score 14 in the second half to lead them to a win, including another dunk on a kid's head. It's just, it's almost becoming we take it for granted already, just like a ho-hum 16-point game for the true freshman. But he's really good, man. And that was a good win. That was a nice win for them.
Yeah, what do you make of the fact that Florida State, I don't know, they were up by 17 and it got whittled down to 1, but then they ended up, I think, after the under 6 timeout, they kind of not the under 6, the under 8, they kind of started cruising again.
Yeah, that was good to see. The 15-0 run wasn't, but Leonard's trying to play different guys, and I think Calhoun has a great future, but he puts him into the game with a 14-point lead, and he somehow on an inbounds play completely loses the kid in the corner, doesn't stay with him, and he gives up a wide open 3 to cut it to 11. Then Osborne takes a bad shot. Wilkes took a bad shot. MJ got stripped, and then they were getting points in transition, and it got away from them real quick. And then they brought Barnes back in. They brought Polite back in. And again, that says something about Anthony Polite, that we're at a point now in his development where you put him in to stop a run. Like, he's the solid guy that's gonna solidify things, make big shots, make the right passes. The step he's taken, the step Boss has taken. I really like Raekwon's game still. I know he didn't have a good night on Tuesday night. They just have a lot of dudes, man. Wyatt Wilkes comes off the bench and scores 11 in the first half. And that's he scored 11. Calhoun hit a couple, hit a basket. Nate Jack hit a big 3. The bench scored more points than the starters in the first half. And then in the second half, it was all starters. MJ and Scottie combined for 26 points in the second half alone. That's a unique ability of this team, is that the bench can play well. The starters might not play well in the first half, but they have so many guys that can contribute that eventually they beat a pretty decent Georgia Tech team that has 4 seniors and a junior. They beat them by 13 points and just kind of wear them down at the end of the game.
74-61, again, the win for Florida State over Georgia Tech. Florida State now 4-0 on the season. First win in ACC play. They'll return to action Saturday night, as Corey said, 9 p.m. against McKenzie Milton's old team, UCF. So that's super nice of a segue.
What a great, what a day for Florida State fans. You get to watch the Noles in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
Playing Wake Forest, trying to get to that all-important 4th win. And then so they can have as many as the basketball team. And then the basketball team that night, 12 hours later, apparently, they'll be playing Central Florida. So it's a good long day for Florida State fans with some other college football games mixed in there.
Definitely. Also, on the basketball side of things, I think we all remember what happened Saturday to the young player from Florida, Keontae Johnson. Apparently, there's been real good news that developed over on Tuesday. Apparently, he's able to speak and communicate with his family. Apparently, he FaceTimed with his team from his hospital room. So it looked very bleak. It sounds very encouraging right now. That was really uplifting to hear on Tuesday. That Keontae's seems to be bouncing back slowly but surely, hopefully.
Best news of the day, because I was worried that day into that night, even yesterday, Sunday for sure. You're worried if that kid's going to live or die. It seemed like that serious. It was that serious by all accounts, and for him to now be communicating, we don't know how well he's communicating. We don't really have any updates other than that. Yeah. We don't have any really idea what caused it. I'm sure all that will come out eventually, but overall, the way it looked when he was on that court, and then the things you might have heard Saturday night or Sunday about his condition, for him to be communicating at all and FaceTiming with his teammates, no matter what kind of FaceTime it was. I don't know if he's waving or if he's saying hey to them or whatever. It's so much better than the alternative. So that's really, really good news. Absolutely.
All right, hopefully good news, but obviously not anywhere near as important in the grand scheme of things. Will be signing day. By the time you're listening to this, folks, there could be up to a dozen Florida State players that have signed their letter of intent. It looks like everybody, with the exception of 2 players, Byron Turner and Bryson Estes, will be signing at 9 a.m. or earlier. So shout out to Byron and Bryson for doing their own thing and signing at noon. Way to be your own men. Way to buck convention. Sleep is important. There's nothing tough about waking up early in the morning. You do you, gentlemen. But McKenzie Milton is already in. That was made official on Monday evening. We mentioned it on the show. But we were able to actually speak to Mike Norvell on Tuesday. And with news being official on Monday, he was able to give us sort of specifics and talk big picture about McKenzie Milton. anything that you took as being the bigger sort of takeaway or the biggest compliment from what was a pretty big compliment parade from Mike Norvell when it came to his newest toy in the quarterback room, McKenzie Milton?
Yeah, there were two things. It was the way he talked about him as a leader and a teammate. I thought that it was kind of the things that we were talking about earlier in the week. Like, no matter how good he is, your program gets better with somebody like that, a personality like that, a leader like that, guy with experience like that. It only helps. And so he talked about that, just having a competitor and having a guy that's a leader, having a guy that's so selfless, having a guy that's gone through 2 years of rehab. All of that is it's just more fuel to the fire he's trying to build with this program. Not a dumpster fire. We want a different kind of fire. Again, analogies aren't my thing, guys, especially when I'm kind of thinking on the fly. When I'm writing them down, I can come up with some good ones, but I'm just thinking on the fly. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth half the time. But we appreciate you listening to the show. But then he talked about that, and I think we all agreed on that was a really positive, just having his personality on the team in that locker room. But then also, didn't you think what he said about the quarterbacks was somewhat encouraging, right? If you're wanting the guys that you want to stay, didn't you think what he said on Tuesday was pretty encouraging?
Well, he also said that LaDamian Webb was coming back, and LaDamian Webb's now at Troy. But yeah, no, to your point. Well, I mean, what are they going to say? I mean, are they going to sulk? If they did sulk, would he tell us? But no,
that's a good point. He what he said, I guess, was that he was proud of the way they handled the news. You'd hope he wouldn't say that if he was really angry with them, but you never know. Warren Thompson is still apparently on the team, so you don't know exactly what's the actual fact and truth. But as far as feelings towards kids and maybe how they handle things or how they reacted to things, but I mean, I guess it beats the alternative if him saying, "Look, Chubba told me today he's leaving."
Keep your eye on that Rivals Portal Twitter account, guys. You might see a name drop in there that you recognize.
Right. At least he didn't say that.
Yeah.
But don't you think that, to me, again, that's what we'll be talking about a lot is that competition and the kids in that room. And he brought up the fact that, look, to take a grad transfer, especially to take a transfer in general, he basically answered the question about what did you tell the quarterbacks? And he's like, well, we told them that we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to enhance our program. Yeah. Always trying to enhance our program. And he's like, even whether it's a high school player or a transfer, that's what we're always trying to do. And he said, now it's a little different with a grad transfer because a grad transfer, we all know he's not coming to sit. He's not transferring because he wants to be a backup to Jordan Travis or Chubba Purdy. He wants to play, and he's only got 1 year to do it. But as Norvell pointed out, he likes guys that want to compete. Milton said he was here to compete. He wasn't being given the job, and then also that it's a young room, 2 freshmen and a sophomore. So he certainly seems to be hoping that they all stay.
You do want those guys saying, I do hope, and it's easy. I think James B., pillar of the program, made a comment on YouTube. I didn't read all of it. I just kind of browsed through it real quick, but just, he was pointing out the fact that, in his day, guys waited their turn, and saw the fruits of their labor pay off at the end of the day. I don't want to be the younger guy being like, well, it's different this day and age, but it kind of is, though. I mean, I don't want to be the guy when I'm 50 and some 25-year-old kid's like, hey, man, it's changed. It's not the way it used to be. There's a whole bunch of things that are not the way they used to be that I thought was going to be the way it was supposed to be when I grew up. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. That's my political podcast that's going to drop later. The Lion's Den with Aslan Hajavandi. Find it on iTunes. But just... It's easy to kind of say, hey, man, you're at Florida State. It's a great place to be socially. It's a great place to be educationally these days, top 25 public university. To your point, how many, you mentioned on the show yesterday, how many guys in the history of college football got homesick or whatnot or weren't happy where they originally were but stuck it out and it all worked out for them. I do think it's different, though, because to my understanding, Milton, it's one and done. he won't be here for 2022. It's all or nothing for him in 2021. And the fact that Jordan Travis would still be a sophomore, or actually he'd be a junior in 2022.
Right.
That Chubba would be a sophomore in 2022. Nobody wants to sit, but it kind of makes sense if they're going to bring a guy like this that, hey, you can go out there and compete and see how the chips fall, but you would think that the writing would be on the wall. They'd be able to accept that reality and also realize that, hey, I'm not in a bad situation either when he ends up leaving. Somebody also kind of made a good point, too, about I do wonder, like, did Jordan exhaust – this is almost rhetorical more than anything because, I don't know if you know the answer either, but when he did transfer here last year in 19, would that be recognized, like, retroactively as his one-time transfer, where it's no penalty? So if, say, some other program did want him, would he have to sit out because he already has transferred once, although this rule wasn't in place by then?
Yeah,
So
I don't know if you get grandfathered in for something like that or not. That's a good question. I would think not. Yeah, Chase Bryce is transferring again, so I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what the rule is for that because maybe when you're a one-time transfer, I mean he got his waiver, so he was eligible right after transferring. I don't know. Good question. It's a good question. I also want to say, Aslan, anytime James B. leaves a comment, you need to read the whole thing.
Okay.
He's been too good to us for you to just skim his comments. You need to read those every word.
You're right.
But yeah, you wonder about with somebody like Chubba or Jordan, or like, where are you going to transfer? Like Chubba, the only real concern I have about Chubba is just he's so far from home. Like he might want to transfer closer to home, but like, where are you going to transfer where you're either one of those guys where they're the automatic, no questions asked starting quarterback? Because it's not going to be what program would be unquestionably a better situation where they're going to start at quarterback than Florida State?
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't. I know kids do that all the time, and quarterbacks do that, but and it kind of, I guess, worked out for Bailey Hockman, but only because the kid got hurt. He was second string, and he was kind of second string a good bit last year too. But it's just, you're taking a gamble with a coaching staff that might not like you as much as your current coaching staff does. But, kids are doing it all the time. Like James B. said, man, you think about, Peter Tom Willis waited till his redshirt senior year to be the starting quarterback. Charlie Ward was his fourth year out of high school before he was the starting quarterback. Those days are over. So again, it's something we'll keep an eye on. It's something we have to keep an eye on moving forward, but because it's just 2020 and that's the nature of the sport. But man, they would be, if they could get both of those guys to come back and play and learn and watch and maybe beat out McKenzie Milton, I just think the program would be so much better for it.
What do you make of Norvell's answers when we asked him about, I guess, just the health of McKenzie Milton, I guess maybe their due diligence they were able to do and what they're going to do moving forward, and his sort of response to that question, which is on everybody's mind?
Yeah, so he said that he did see the medical records, right?
I think so. I should probably pull up your lightning fast transcription.
But yeah, I didn't get all that anyway, so don't do that.
Right.
But yeah, he said that he expects him to be fully available and in the spring. Like he doesn't see any hardships, and he did practice. He did run scout team and practice with UCF this year. We just don't know what he looks like. I assume, it's been 2 years now since the injury, over 2 years. What's still left to rehab that will be better by September of next year that won't be better by spring? You know what I mean?
Right.
What happens in month 30, 32 that doesn't happen in month 26? So you got to assume as healthy as he's going to be will come whenever this spring is. And I would assume they'll probably, don't you think that you have to imagine they'll push spring practice back to like April, the start of April, maybe middle of April. So hopefully everybody can be vaccinated by then and they don't have to keep doing 3 tests a week. But yeah, whenever that is, I think it certainly sounded like Norvell expects him to be a full go.
I know everybody wants to kind of compare him to Alex Smith because they're both quarterbacks and they both had severe leg injuries. although I think it's a little bit different. I think probably the better comparison is actually, and I said this on the recruiting chat with Michael Langston, is Jalen Smith. I think Jalen Smith, right? The linebacker for the Cowboys that played for
Notre Dame.
Yeah. Because he dislocated his knee, and he had nerve damage, which is kind of was the big, bugaboo, for lack of a better term, for McKenzie Milton. It was something that he had surgery on 4 times, 3 when he was in Tampa, like right after it happened, and then 1 when he got back to Orlando. But I think, Jalen Smith, they said that his nerve regenerated 80% back. And, I mean, look at that guy. He's playing linebacker in the NFL and doing a pretty good job of it. And, I mean, there's nothing specific to how much of the nerve that McKenzie Milton damaged had regenerated, but he did tell the Orlando Sentinel back last year in August, quote, "With my nerve damage, I'm basically back to 100%. I have full feeling in my foot. That's very rare. Sometimes it never comes back for some people, and the artery, the blood is flowing great. Now it's just about getting range of motion and building strength back up." So that was August of 2019. So 18 months probably by the time he actually plays, for Florida State, or at least in a spring football setting. So that's the kind of stuff that he sounds like he had to work on and get back. Because, yeah, I mean, when you're off your feet for that long, you got to get your range of motion and your strength back up. But as long as that nerve, to his, quote, has come back and mended up pretty darn well, I'm much more confident now after being somewhat uneducated in my bullishness earlier in the week. That's a big deal, though, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's everything. Look, if he's healthy, he's as good a quarterback as they've had since Jameis left. He's not Jameis, but he's like a notch below. This guy is he's Central Florida's Tebow. Like, he is beloved down there. They might build a statue for him. It's just remarkable what his college career was. And he did it against good teams too, and he won a ton of games. And makes incredible throws. I liked how was it you who somebody asked Ja'Kai Douglas if he'd ever heard of McKenzie Milton?
Yeah, that was me.
And my man was like, "Well, no, not really." But then he said some of his teammates. And look, Ja'Kai grew up where? Louisiana?
Do you think Ja'Kai knows that McKenzie was from Hawaii, though?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Me and Ja'Kai are in that same boat. We're riding with that. And it's getting – there's a lot of people in that boat, just not you and Ira. But, Ja'Kai has no idea McKenzie Milton's from Hawaii. He didn't even know who McKenzie Milton was. At least I knew that.
Yeah.
But then Ja'Kai said that his teammates kind of told him and caught him up to speed, and then he said he did some research on his own. What do you think that consisted of? Like just YouTube clips?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you watch, and why wouldn't you? You're a receiver at Florida State, and you just got a new quarterback. If you watch those YouTube clips, as a receiver at Florida State, you might do cartwheels for an hour. You might go scream. You might go scream in the parking lot. Like, let's go streaking. Let's go to the quad. I mean, you couldn't be more. I don't know how you could be more excited as a receiver to see that guy and the dimes he throws, the shots he takes downfield, where he puts the ball. You just have to be overjoyed that a guy that throws the ball like that is coming to your school. No offense to the other guys, but this guy throws it a little bit differently than what they're used to in practice.
All right. I assume that you're probably home by now. It's not that far of a drive to Clark Manor from the TLCCC, so I don't want to have your neighbors be like, why is there some weird person parked in Corey's driveway still? Corey's never here, so we don't want –
Let me throw this by you, Aslan. There was, early on when Stephanie and I were dating, it might have been I'm not going to say how early. It wasn't that early, but she might have spent the night. It was late at night. She was over at the house, over at the Clark Manor. And I think we went out for a walk. Like we were going to take like a 1:30 a.m. walk, 2 a.m. walk, which isn't normal. I get it.
But that's how it is to date Corey Clark, everybody.
That's right. Young love, and just, you want to go walk. You want to get exercise. You want to, and that's right. You want to go see the stars. And I'm walking we walked through my yard, and there's a car parked right in front of my house, like right by my mailbox that's running. So the car's on, there are people inside, but you don't want to look too, I'm not going to be like, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, looking through the window, but I did see that there were 2 bodies in there and the car was running.
Oh.
And so we go and take the walk. We come back. It's still there. It's still running. The lights are on.
Like the headlights or the dome light? Like the headlights or the interior lights?
No, the not even the it was on I guess I want to say the headlights were on, but maybe not.
Okay.
But the car was lit up inside.
All right.
Like it would be if you were listening to music and talking about life back in the 90s, back when kids did that.
Naturally.
So, I ended up calling the cops at like 3:30 in the morning.
Ooh.
Was that an uncool move? Because I didn't understand why there would be a car with people inside outside my house at 3:30 in the morning.
It was probably some kid that just knew, like, oh yeah, man, this old man, he's never here at this house, so we can hang out front and just kick it.
Figured they wanted to squat. They might have been trying to wait. They might have thought maybe I had squatters because they know I'm not here half the time. But anyway, so the cops end up banging on my door at like 4 in the morning to tell me that they live in the house next door or two houses down. And I'm like, well, what were they doing? And he's like, well, they just fell asleep. And I woke them up, and then they pulled into that driveway and went inside. I'm like, all right, well, that's
bizarre.
The whole thing's bizarre. And he didn't really have time for my more. He's like, I don't know. I was like, okay, you understand. I mean, I know you guys probably have more important things to do, although maybe not at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday, but still, he didn't really have time for my questions or my concerns. He's like, all right, well, thanks. But it was odd. Like, who parks in front of somebody else's house to fall asleep? But anyway, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Turn to warchant.com go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, my point, Aslan, was that these people are used to things like that. They won't be too freaked out by my car running in the driveway.
Okay. We're just going to plug Michael Langston's great coverage over on the Premium Recruiting Board. Again, Kobe Gross, Kevin Noles, Shaheem Brown. These guys are signing at 7 a.m. Hunter Washington, 7:15 a.m. Chambray Jackson, 8 a.m. Rod Orr, 8 a.m. Joshua Burrell, 8:30. All these guys signing bright and early. People ask, are there going to be any surprises? It's a bit of a riddle, though, Corey, because if Michael knew, then would it really be a surprise? People say maybe George Wilson, who was committed to South Carolina for a long while, defensive end from Virginia Beach, might be a guy that could flip. But again, that's somebody that there's some rumors around. Malik McClain was committed to Florida State for a while, was supposedly going to be going to Ole Miss. Now might be back available as the recording of this show goes on. So the best way to know what's going on is to go to warchant.com. The Premium Recruiting Board, Michael will have you updated on that. We'll have live hits starting at noon on YouTube. And then I think Mike Norvell has got his own show going on at 2 p.m. for Seminoles.com, and then we'll get him at 3 p.m. We'll do a full wrap, Michael, myself, and I. But I think no matter what happens, hopefully that Jeremiah Holloman kid, I'm still going to hold out on that. No matter what happens on Wednesday, I don't know if anything could really bum you out because ultimately you have McKenzie Milton, right, Corey? I mean, you can't, even if there's a couple guys that flip, I mean, at the end of the day, you got this kid, the quarterback, the most important position on the field, perhaps like a culture changer, is going to be much more impactful than an 18-year-old kid. Yeah,
there's hope going into not just tomorrow later on today, not just into that because all these are high school kids, but there's hope that you're going to land 5, 6, 8 more high-profile or ready contributors transfer-wise, guys in the portal. I think that's how you have to view this year. This is the days of Bobby Bowden landing the number 1 class by getting 12 commitments on signing day. Those days are kind of over, at least in the time being. But rest assured, they're going to get some big players after today. And you've got one of the most important, in my opinion, you got one of the most important recruits in the country coming in already. He's already signed in McKenzie Milton.
Kimo Macanole is not going to sign. That's kind of a bummer. Either is Destin Hill, but that can maybe change. So, again, stay connected to warchant.com Premium Recruiting Board. Bright and early, Michael will be cranking out updates there, as well as our Twitter. And then again at noon, we will start live coverage on our YouTube channel. And Corey and I should have posted the Renegade Express thing because that's what we're going to have to do for this show on Thursday. So we'll do that then. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.